Hello, spooky cozy friends. Grab yourself a nice warm drink. I have hot chocolate in this spooky jack-o'-lantern mug, and let's get into the video. Hi everyone, so today I'll be doing the Spooky Scary Skeletons book tag for you, and I have this whole stack of books to share with you today. The first question is Witchy Mayhem. Name a book you loved or hated about witches. So I will share one that I loved and one that I hated. So one that I hated, well, hate's kind of a strong word, but I very much disliked it, was Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. It just wasn't it for me. The book follows a witch. Her sister gets killed. So she tries to find out who killed her sister and accidentally summons a prince of hell in the process. And it's a romantasy. The first one's not that steamy, but the second and third one are. I didn't read the third one, but that's what Carrie Maniscalco said. The second one just kind of really dropped off for me, but that whole series is just kind of bland. And when I read the first one, I kind of enjoyed it, but then it left me in a slump. So yeah, there's just not much to it. It's more like if you're really heavy on the romance, but I guess you will like it, but it's just not good. Like, I didn't like it. I know a lot of people didn't, and it's very mixed reviews, but I did not like it at all. For a witchy book I liked, I will be very brief about this because I do not support the author, but the Harry Potter series is very near and dear to me. My favorite one specifically is The Prisoner of Azkaban, but yes, so loved, definitely. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So the second one is The Pumpkin King, a fiction book about a spooky main character. So for this one, I have Tomie by Junji Ito. It is about a young woman who is kind of like cursed to seduce men and be torn apart while that happens, like be killed and be horribly, it's kind of gross. It's a manga. Here are the end papers for it. That's Tomie. It's not supposed to be relatable, yet it is. If you're like a woman in today's society, it's kind of relatable, yes. So if you're into manga or Junji Ito and you haven't picked this one up, I would definitely recommend it. The third question is Orange Fever, a book with the word orange in the title or a book with an orange cover. I have a couple of books with orange on the cover, but I wanted to pick a spooky one. So I have The Stepsister by R.L. Stine. This book follows Emily, who gets a new stepsister, and she's not fond of the new stepsister. Basically what happens is horrible things start happening, and it's a thriller, I'm pretty sure. Thriller? Yeah. And horrible things happening, and she thinks that Jessie, who is her new stepsister, is doing all of this. So yeah, it's spooky. It's very short. It's 165 pages, but like the text is extremely large, and look how tiny that is. Like, that's a very tiny book. I read it in one sitting in like 2 hours max. But yeah, so I don't really want to give much away, but it's just about like she gets a new stepsister, bad things start happening. Please check the trigger warnings. It's a young adult book, so it's kind of young, but there's a lot of pretty horrible things that happen in it, so it's not too young if you're an adult, and it's a little bit too old for a middle grade unless, well, I read it in 5th grade and I wrote a report over it. And let's just say my teachers did not enjoy it because of the content in this. This is an 8th grade level book when I was in school, so it's their fault for giving me an 8th grade level just because I could read like more advanced than everybody else. Like, that's your fault. Ghouls and Ghosts, a book you love about ghouls or ghosts. The Archived is about Mackenzie Bishop, who can see dead people. She is a keeper for the Archives, which is like a library for dead people, and she moves into a very old apartment that used to be a hotel because her brother died and her parents thought it would be a fresh start for them to move. So she notices that there are like a ton of histories, which is what the dead people are called, like roaming around in the realm between the living and the dead. She is like, hey, what's going on? These people are kind of dangerous, like these dead people are dangerous, and it's just getting kind of out of hand. And weird things start happening in the archive, so she thinks that there's a traitor within the archive. So she has to figure out who is doing this, because it seems like no one else is willing to look into it. Everybody's just kind of like hush hush, just trying to sweep it under the rug because they don't want to cause any commotion. But yeah, so that's what this is about, and it's about ghosts. So yeah, that's why I chose it. So I hope you pick it up, because there's also a second one called The Unbound, but I haven't read that one yet. Horrible horrors. Your least favorite horror, thriller, or mystery book. So mine would have to be You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Barron. It's not a good story to me. I've heard a lot of people that did like it, but I just didn't like it. The writing was very young for me. It was very juvenile, and a lot of it was more tell not show through the dialogue, and it just wasn't my thing until the ending. Like the last couple chapters were wild. I mean, like I did not see that coming at all. So yeah. I like the representation. It is written by a person of color, and it has a lot of person of color representation. That is good, so I would recommend supporting the author. She has a lot of things. She has a lot of books. So she also wrote Night of the Living Queers, so I'm really excited to pick that up, even though I didn't like this book. But I think it's going to be a series. Oh wait, I didn't tell you what it was about. It's about these kids, these teenagers that are working at this like horror movie simulation camp, and basically you can pay to go into this little simulation where there's like a killer, and you can be like the final girl and stuff like that, and if you win you get like a t-shirt, and it's just a fun little thing. Like I would like to go to one of those. It's pretty cool. But one night some of the workers like are missing, and a lot of weird stuff starts happening, and there's like a whole massacre that happens, like, or at least tries to happen and does, to the workers of this camp, and the ending is crazy. So I would recommend picking it up just for the ending. Honestly, it's crazy. Number 6 is Gothic Wonders, a favorite gothic themed book you've read in the past 5 years. So that would have to be Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I know I already have a Victoria Schwab book on here, but I do not read gothic books very often, and this is the only one that I could even find that I read. And the reason why this is gothic, it's kind of like a gothic horror with a spooky manner on it. But this follows a young girl, but she's an orphan, and she has her mom's journal, and that's what she basically keeps with her, and she's read it so many times she basically has it memorized. And in this journal it tells her to never go to Gallant House because she just does not need to. Like, it's horrible. It made her mother go insane basically. And so she randomly gets a letter one day from a family member, but she's like, oh, my family's dead, like who is this? And it tells her to go to Gallant House. So she's like, okay, my mom said not to, but I have family there, like I'm not gonna pass up a chance to meet my family. So she goes there, and they're like, the owner of the house is like, what? I never sent my letter, like what are you talking about? But they welcome her in, and she finds out that what she has been seeing, all of these visions, like these hallucinations of creepy people, might have a little bit more meaning than she thought. So it's just a little creepy, and it's a very emotional book. So if you're looking to bawl your eyes out, pick this up. Number 7 is Magic and Potions, a fiction or non-fiction book about magic and potions. So this is a little unconventional about magic and potions. Not this book, but the Spider-Bit Chronicles series by Tony Trelizzi and Holly Black. Holly Black is a household name at this point. But Spider-Bit Chronicles, it has a movie, but the books are pretty different from the movie, so I would recommend reading these also. But these are middle grade. They're very short. They take me like 30 minutes to get through. Like, it's so short. It's a very quick read. But the reason I chose this is because the magic and potions in it is a little bit, it has them in there, but it's more realistic to our real life than from like fantasy and stuff. But this follows 3 kids. They move into a creepy house that was owned by like their great-grandfather or something like that, like their grandmother, great-grandmother, and they find a book that tells all of this information about these creatures that live around, from Arthur Spiderwick, who is like, or the owner of the house basically. And so they start seeing these weird creatures and make friends with one of them, and it's just a spooky old time. I've only read the 1st and 2nd book, but watch the movie if you would rather do that, because it's a really good movie. It was my favorite as a kid. They just like learn about all these creatures, and the field guide is very secret. There's an evil creature, and it's just a fun old time. Like, I loved it. Black Cats, a book with cats, or a book with a cat as a side character or the main character. So don't come at me for having a Christmas book on here, but I have A Cat Cafe Christmas by Cody Gary. This is following a veterinarian who has kind of a bad past with her ex-boyfriend, and she meets this guy called Ben. It's just a romance, but she runs a cat cafe and it goes from there. But I think that men who love cats are so romantic, and watching Ben slowly fall in love with these cats is so romantic. I mean, my husband and I have 13 cats, so of course we are like obsessed with cats, and it's so cute, and guys love cats. So yeah, so that's what this is about. He tries to get the cat cafe more money, and she's like no, and he goes behind her back and does it anyway, and he finds out her past and he helps her. So it's just a romance. It just goes like that. So yeah, sorry I can't really talk much about this. My camera is about to overheat, so I have to hurry up and talk. And the final one is a book, Spooky Scary Skeletons, a book that sent shivers down your spine. So for that one, it would have to be Pen Pal by Dathan Arbach. This is following a man who is telling his story from his childhood with his mom, and he has like this, it starts off with him having this thing that like they do at school where they tie like their letter and their school to these balloons and then fly them away, and whoever picks them up can send them a letter, and he gets like these weird cryptic letters from someone, and they keep happening, and a lot of creepy things happen. This is a horror. It's very, very spooky, and it's very, very sad also. So I cried at the end, but it's just following this kid with his letters and the scary things that happen with him and his friend. So yeah, it's just super spooky, and I very much enjoyed it. It's a pretty quick read. It's not linear. It follows, you kind of pick up what's going down throughout the story. It's not linear, so you'll get like one story where it tells you something, then it skips the ending, not the ending of like the short story, but like how it connects with everything, and then there'll be another one, and then the third one will like connect those two, which I really like skipping around in timelines. So if that's not your thing, I wouldn't recommend picking this up because it does skip around a lot, but it all ties into the end, and it's a very sad story. It's very scary. It made me like close my windows. I'm like, thank goodness I'm not a kid. Yeah, so I just definitely recommend this. So that's all the books I had, and I hope you enjoyed this tag, and I tag anyone who watches this and wants to do it. I got this inspiration from Kelsey at Slime and Slashers. I will see you later, and if you watched all of this, leave a skull emoji down below, and comment what your favorite spooky read of the year is. So yeah, I will leave it at that, and I will talk to you in my next video, which will be a Halloween vlog. So goodbye, friends.